Tomas, 2005, how are we already at the beginning of the end, as they put in the tagline? Survivor Series 2005. Coming at a very troubling time for World Wrestling Entertainment because the majority of the roster was still mourning the passing of Eddie Guerrero. Man, yeah, and it's still, like, it feels like yesterday when I learned about that. Like, and so, it feels like so much time has passed, yet so little time has passed. If that makes
every
sense.
year passes.
It's crazy.
Every year passes, and the fact that we are about to approach the 19th anniversary, 19-year anniversary of when Eddie passed.
Yeah.
It does bring me some comfort to know that his name is still very alive and well today. That it feels like the WWE will never let Eddie die. He'll never let the memory of Eddie die.
He's immortal.
Which is great because, you look at so many wrestlers today that were influenced by him. Your Andrades, your Dominic Mysterios, your Mercedes Monets, and how they still pay tribute to him to this day. You look at Ray, that, last year's WrestleMania that we were at, coming out to Eddie's theme in the Lowrider. It brings me great joy to know that Eddie's name is still very alive and well. And if you want to go with the Coco logic, the spirit will never die as long as we keep it alive.
As long as you constantly remember him, and Eddie's a soul that will never be forgotten. I mean, I constantly just look back at all the Eddie matches that we've talked about on this retro so far, and I just can't help but smile whenever I see Eddie Guerrero's name on that lineup. And the fact that we're going through this retro in chronological order and we're not going to be seeing any more Eddie Guerrero matches from this point, it's... fuck, dude. Yeah, it still stinks. It still stinks.
I mean, I hate to, even dig that knife even deeper. We're also about to get into a very awkward time of storytelling where I don't want to say WWE had ill intent with doing this, but it's like they were incorporating Eddie's name into so many storylines to the point where it got very uncomfortable. And we probably won't touch on that. We'll touch on it going into Armageddon because that's when they did probably the most tasteless tactic when it came to Eddie's name. So a lot of people like to complain and say if Eddie didn't die, Ray never would have won a world title, and that was just a petty run. I like to disagree because I think Ray was more than over as a babyface and deserved that great honor. There is a difference between continuously paying tribute to someone. You look at nowadays, like with Bray Wyatt. Incorporating Eddie's, death into storylines was probably when I drew the line. And then we're not going to talk about this spot until we talk about Armageddon because it's a huge spot. I think I know which one you're talking. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but I think it was there. As a kid, it didn't bother me, but as an adult, it's just like,
why did you need to do that?
Yeah, you didn't need to do that.
Yeah,
so it was a feud that had nothing to do with Eddie.
No, it had nothing to do with Eddie, and we'll touch bases on that. We'll come back around to it by the end of Survivor Series. But Eddie Guerrero's death, I mean, it's still felt to this very day, and it was a huge wake-up call, I think, for the WWE, just because shortly after his passing, I think the year afterwards or something, the wellness policy started to get implemented. Yeah. And I feel like if it was implemented, not to think about what ifs or anything, but I feel like if Vince had implemented that policy a little bit earlier, I mean, who knows if they would have caught the heart issues that Eddie was having, Because, I mean, I was... in hindsight, I was kind of looking at it and looking at Eddie in the last year or so of his life and how blown up he was getting in a lot of the matches that he was in. And, yeah, I feel like if they caught it sooner, then, he would still be happy, healthy, living with us right now. But again, I don't want to dig too deep into that right now. But Eddie's presence was, I don't want to say it was sorely missed on this card because he still had a bevy of star power, but Eddie Guerrero actually did qualify to be on the SmackDown team in the main event. Eddie's final match was on the Veterans Day edition of SmackDown 2 days before his death. It was against Mr. Kennedy, of all people. And, boy, if you ever go back and Mr. Kennedy actually just did an interview with Chris Van Vliet on his podcast, and he actually talks about that match in detail, and he even gets emotional about it. And Kennedy his path didn't go through Eddie Guerrero as much, but you can just tell, even the people that he barely interacted with, how much he influenced them. So it's crazy.
It's been almost 20 years, and you talk about that was the only Eddie Anderson match that ever happened. But the fact that Anderson can still very vividly tell the events of that match, because Anderson is very open about his attitude issues in WWE. And he said during that match, like Anderson was really trying to rush the pace. But they even matched the clips of it. You can see like Anderson would try to rush, and Eddie would immediately put him in a headlock. And I guess he leaned into Anderson's ear and said, "Relax. Like, there's no reason to go this fast. Like, let the match breathe." And it was kind of like Eddie telling him, like, "You try to rush this match, I'm just going to put you in a rest hold. So chill out."
Relax,
it was
Holmes.
Very good advice that Eddie gave Anderson. But like you said, Eddie did qualify to be in this match. He was replaced by Randy Orton, and you want to talk about domino effect, like alternate universe. Like Orton was never supposed to be in this match, but he had the heavy burden of taking Eddie's place in this match, and just how that kind of just snowballed into what would happen later on, like such a pivot in storylines. Like, I feel like we have debated a lot on this channel. What if Eddie didn't die? There's a lot of theories. My theory of I think he would have won the World Heavyweight title. There's your theory of he would have fought Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. It's just a bunch of what ifs. I always think about, I think it was like 5 years down the line where I thought, both with Eddie and Benoit, I'm like, would Eddie stuck with WWE, or would have Eddie been one of those stars that made the jump to TNA?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
And that's it. We never know. And I don't like to say like, oh, he would, oh, he wouldn't have, because we don't know. You look at the path that Angle took, you never know. Eddie could have left WWE, made his mark on the world, and then came back to the WWE for a retirement run. Eddie could have stayed with WWE until he retired. It's a bunch of what ifs, but it was definitely, we easily could have got another 10 years out of Eddie if he was healthy, at least. I don't like to think of like Benoit's path. I don't want to talk about that until we get to that in 2 years.
Not yet. And obviously, we're not going to be talking about Benoit in as glowing of a light. Let us know down in the comments if you want us to like talk about that's something I don't even want to delve into. Maybe if we watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode again, which boy, if you're in for a good if you're in for like stomach curdling details, the Benoit Dark Side of the Ring that will haunt you for the rest of your life, for sure.
I like to call the Benoit Dark Side of the Ring. It's a dual episode in the fact I feel like episode 1 was Dark Side of the Ring, Eddie Guerrero's death, because they went into a lot of details of Eddie's death there. And if you really want to, hey, it's only a 7-minute clip, but have a box of tissues nearby, you listen to Chavo Guerrero on Talk Is Jericho, recalling the events of Eddie's death. It is, again, very stomach-turning, you feel for Chavo. You see where he's at now and just the amount of trauma he probably has of not only being there when Eddie died, but, being one of the last people Benoit talked to. It just goes to show a lot of trust that was put into Chavo here. But with that being said, Survivor Series 2005.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Eddie. We miss you every day. And right now, by the way, before you get into this podcast, go follow Chavo Guerrero on Twitter. And next time you see him, give him a hug, because the hell that man has been through just in his adult life is just unfathomable. But
let me guess, you want to meet him in Vegas?
I do. Yeah. That's right. So
overall, Survivor Series 2005, I like the show. I think there were a couple of hidden gems on here. It's a 6-match card. I feel like the very premise of the show really activates my PTSD, because WWE would do this to death in the later years, especially 2016 through like 2021. And let's get into the main theme of this show. It was very much teased at Taboo Tuesday, like we talked about. It was a Raw show, but it was really setting the stage for this show. And it's Raw versus SmackDown for the very first time, brand supremacy. We will go into the entire build of how we got to brand supremacy here, but that's what this whole thing is kind of based around, I didn't hate the Raw versus SmackDown like in the beginning, but when we got into like those later years, it really made me miss Team Cena versus Team Umaga. It made me miss Team Orton versus Team Kingston, Team Orton versus Team Barrett. Like seeing this amalgamation of stars joining forces to take on their rivals, it made me miss that, and it just felt very lazily done. I don't want to say it was lazily done here, but it's just like the Raw versus SmackDown concept has always been, one team always feels more lopsided than the others than the other.
Oh
And,
yeah,
you know,
and it's
it
no
should be the
wonder.
best.
It's no wonder just based on that logic who won this match. So with that in mind,
and then you get into crazy shit like what was it, 2017, when you had like John Cena on Team SmackDown and Kurt Angle on Team Raw and
Triple H on Team Raw, Shane
you got a
McMahon
bunch
on
of
Team SmackDown.
part-timers. Yeah, you have a bunch of part-timers that have no brand loyalty, and you got Cena representing SmackDown when Cena hadn't been active for like almost a year.
Yeah.
So it was just
do you remember?
very weird.
Do you remember who the last man standing was on Team SmackDown?
Was it Styles, Moxley?
No. In 2017, it was Under Siege man Shane McMahon.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that? Yeah. No. If you really thought that the late 2010s WWE was all that fantastic, yeah, not always. It wasn't all peaches and cream.
It had the bright spots, but again, we're getting a little too ahead of ourselves.
Oh yeah.
So we open up the show with the first of the best of 7 series for the United States title, Booker T versus Chris Benoit. How did we get here? So like we talked about in No Mercy, Booker is kind of spiraling. He's been on a losing streak. He can't win the United States Championship. He does win the United States Championship from Chris Benoit on an episode of SmackDown. He ends up turning heel and absolutely taking off. It's a great segment, by the way. Like, he bashes Benoit with the belt. He super kicks him. He's full-blown evil at this point. And Benoit does get his rematch for the United States title on an episode of SmackDown. And they do the spot where Benoit hits a superplex, and then they both cradle each other at the same time. It's a draw finish.
You love that finish. You love that finish, don't you?
I mean,
it's fantastic.
I really don't see why they had to have a best of 7 series from the first place. Benoit, I mean, Booker just won the title. Why don't you just let Booker hold the title? But I guess they needed to kill 6 weeks of television with this thing. So, and it wasn't even for like, like Booker T wins the title, and then 2 weeks later he has to vacate it because of this stupid finish. And then Teddy Long, back with Booker and Cena.
Yeah, well, you might be remembering things incorrectly, especially as we go through this feud, because Booker does win the series, spoiler alert. Not in the way you would think, though. This series is going to annoy the crap out of me. And it's going to annoy the crap out of me over the next few retro podcasts. Like, especially probably up through No Way Out. No Way Out 2006, I'll probably be less annoyed, but
it's
like,
so inconsistent.
Jesus.
It is so bad. And here's the thing, like, you say I'm remembering things, but like, I wasn't a huge fan of this concept. I didn't like that, Booker just had this big heel turn. He won the United States title from Benoit. And then 2 weeks later, he has to vacate the championship just to have this best of 7 series. And then, and then we're not going to bury the lead, but going into Armageddon, you see what the theme of this is. They're ripping from real life sports. And I hated it.
It's also an attempt to recreate something that Booker and Benoit did in WCW back then. I believe I don't want to say was it for the TV title? I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a similar concept. Booker and Benoit had the best of 7 matches for a certain mid-card title. I need to go back and watch it just to know, like, historically what happened. But this is basically their attempts to copy that.
What is it with Booker T winning the United States Championship and then them throwing them into multi-series matches where he just,
don't worry,
strong as a champion.
Don't worry, he won't be around the U.S. title for much longer after this.
Exactly, it's just so weird. And both times he's in the situation, he is not booked as a strong champion. Like the first time with Cena, that was a very weak series, and now going into this one with Benoit, he's not even the champion. So they basically just vacated a title for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, and you know what?
Different if I don't know. Like, I never see any justification for these multi-series matches.
Yeah, I don't even see any justification for Benoit working this pay-per-view, especially when his best friend died 2 weeks before this. He should not have been wrestling. In all honesty, this is the start of the downward turn of Chris Benoit, and, he does what he does, and fuck him for that, but...
Attitude-wise, mental-wise, booking-wise, because like we said in the beginning of the 05 retrospective, like, even with SummerSlam 2004, once he loses the title, he doesn't fucking go anywhere near the world title for the rest of his career, and it's very sad.
I think it honestly kind of shows in this match, because I wasn't really getting into it. Like, it was a little bit slower paced for my liking.
Fair to say Booker and Benoit do not have good chemistry?
I don't think it's fair to say that, because I feel like matches deeper into their series, I think their Armageddon match was better than this, but this one, I mean, no shit, it wasn't as great, because Benoit was still probably screwed up in the head, and he probably wasn't all there. I mean, he was just going in there, and it was like, I hate to make this comparison, but it was almost like watching Perk Angle in TNA. It's like you turn on the machine, but you look into the guy's eyes, and you don't really see anybody there. Nobody's home.
You know what? I would agree with that comparison, but Benoit wasn't doing moonsaults off the steel cages and putting on 30-minute Broadways with like AJ Styles and Robert Roode and Samoa Joe.
Right.
The work ethic was still there in Angle, but that is definitely a good way to put it. The lights on were, but nobody was home. And
yes.
Benoit's booking didn't really lend well to that, because he's going to be in mid-card purgatory for the next 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, the crowd was still wildly behind him. I mean, the crowd still loved them some Chris Benoit. So, no, I mean, in hindsight, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh man, you guys don't know what's going on. But in any case, I mean, just bunch of German suplexes, snap suplex from Benoit, some good sharpshooter counters by Booker T, nice near fall. Should also be noted that Sharmell was at ringside. Sharmell was the big catalyst of Booker T's heel turn and the big motivation to kind of wake him up and smarten him up a little bit. Benoit's not your friend, Booker. He took your title in your hometown.
I got a hot take. Yeah. I love Sharmell's heel work.
I do too. I do too. Yeah, no, she's perfectly annoying.
Yeah, you can definitely tell she took inspiration from Sensational Sherry. Because this whole heel manager run with hers as Sharmell and as Queen Sharmell is just like, yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
She is like just even better once the Queen gimmick comes in. After her husband wins King of the Ring, this heel Sharmell becomes so much more annoying and so much more grating.
I will say she is the best heel female manager since Sensational Sherry. And yes, I love it. I love it.
So, Sharmell distracts Benoit for a bit. Booker goes after him, but Benoit thwarts his attempt. He goes for the diving headbutt 2 weeks after Eddie Guerrero's death, by the way. Booker rolls out to avoid it. Oklahoma roll, and Booker T rolls Chris Benoit up, puts his feet in the ropes. Sharmell holds Booker's feet down for leverage. Michael Cole is livid at this behavior from Sharmell and from Booker. Basically because Benoit was just cheated out of match number 1. Booker goes up 1-0. And spoiler alert, going into Armageddon, Booker T would go up 3-0 before the next pay-per-view. So Benoit would basically have to fight from behind. So, I mean, I don't want to say this was a bad match, but this could have been way better.
Stars.
Yeah, I'm matching it.
Very phoned in from both these guys, especially two guys that were given almost 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. You think that this would be a banger, honestly. You look at Booker and Benoit on paper, and that should be a certified banger. But it really wasn't. It was like a slow beat of the drum. Like, I feel like these guys never really got out of the gate.
Yeah, they would. You would think that these two have had much better matches than this, and you would be thinking correctly in that regard. And we'll be talking about a couple of those as we get deeper into the series. So, before we get into this next contest, Tomas, you may be surprised that I want to talk about this, because the Peacock version does not show this segment, but this whole fucking thing is such an acid trip. Eric Bischoff is warming up backstage for his match later in the evening. Vince McMahon approaches him to wish him luck. Bischoff is saying Raw's going to decimate SmackDown. They're going to make history.
This was on the show.
Yep.
Next year.
Here we go. We're gonna go through this. Right now.
I've seen this clip online, and everybody thinks it's funny, and I'm just like, this makes me want to rip Vince McMahon's goddamn throat out of his chest.
Yeah, this makes me want to jump off. This makes me want to yeet myself off a building. Honestly, watching this video. So,
Jey Uso, where are you going? Can I go with you?
So Bischoff is also saying that he's going to screw John Cena because, of course, it's Survivor Series and it's 8 years after the Montreal Screwjob, and Vince cannot help but make a reference to that in his writing. John Cena shows up behind Bischoff with his championship, with his spinner title, and he says, "Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. I hope you try and screw me. I'd love to see you try it." Like, Cena was basically looking at him like, "I dare you. I dare you." And then
talk about go ahead. That Vince is talking to Cena in, like, he goes up to him and says, "Hey, what's good in the hood?" And it's just like, look Cena is whiter than a vanilla ice cream cone in a snowstorm.
Yeah,
Like, come
because
on, like
Cena's rapper gimmick is over, Vince. Like,
it very much is.
like it's very much in the rear view, and
He's
it's
very much chain gang battalion now.
mm-hmm.
Very, soldier, U.S. soldier. Hustle,
Well, that
loyalty,
doesn't come
respect.
until next year. That doesn't come until next year. So we'll
But,
hold off on that.
We're entering into that. We're very much, again, you pass the rapper gimmick. He's just like, cool guy with chain.
Yeah, and then
Cena
Vince
really doesn't have a gimmick right now. He's Mr. Never Give Up.
Vince then says something to Cena that I'm not going to repeat on the air because it's very offensive, but everybody remembers this line. Everybody knows what we're talking about. Yeah, no, we're not.
Fill in the blank.
No.
Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank. And then Vince leaves. He walks right by Booker T and Sharmell, and Booker is appalled at this. Of course, like, who wouldn't be appalled? Booker then says the line, "Tell me he didn't just say that, dog. Shucky ducky." So
if that wasn't Vince, Booker probably would have slapped the taste out of their mouth. I can't even begin to explain what the fuck. This was just Vince.
This was Vince's attempt at comedy. He wasn't even trying to be controversial. He was trying to be funny. Get that through your thick skulls.
Vince was basically like, haha, isn't Cena so black?
No, yeah. We've been saying this for at least a year now. Why is Cena trying so hard to be a gangsta?
And we're even kind of past that.
We are. He doesn't have his freaking prize chain anymore. He doesn't have the Ruck Fools t-shirt or the brass knuckles or anything. He just has his little cute pendant with the Chain Gang logo on it, and he has his t-shirts and the hats, and he's like a Hulk Hogan or a Cody Rhodes now.
Exactly. You look back at it and you think, what was Cena's gimmick in between rapper and, hustle, loyalty, and respect? He was just
hero.
John Cena. For the kids.
Hero. Basically, he was just himself. So, yeah, very tasteless angle when you think about it. Up next, though, is the first Raw versus SmackDown contest on the evening with the Women's Championship on the line, Tomas. It is Trish Stratus defending against Melina. So,
let me guess. You probably think this match drove me nuts because a SmackDown person is challenging for the Raw Championship.
I don't think so.
There was a segment where Melina and Eminem kidnapped Trish Stratus, and you know what?
On Raw,
that segment is the only thing I remember from this feud. So
well, that's because that's all this feud was, and they were doing it to fill out the card. I don't think Eminem does a snapshot on Trish on the Raw.
I have one bone to pick about this match, and it's very important to point out that Mickie James is at ringside. She's in Trish Stratus's corner, but there's a point where Melina and Mickie James are brawling on the outside, and I'm looking at this, and Eminem tries to attempt a snapshot, and I'm just like, okay, so Melina and Mickie James are beating the hell out of each other, right? That means Mickie James is putting her hands on Melina, right? Where's the DQ?
Yeah.
Where is the DQ?
Where's the ejection? Because the referee sees Eminem attempt a snapshot on Trish inside the ring, and that's enough for the tag team champions to be disqualified from being at ringside. They're sent to the showers. They're sent to the locker room. But you're right. You're right.
Fighting Melina. Where is the DQ? And it's just it very much annoyed me. I know you don't want a title match to go to DQ. Then how about don't do the cat fight spot?
Yeah. By the way,
one of the competitors in the match.
By the way, a huge look into the future of women's wrestling into the late 2000s because, Mickie James and Melina would be feuding for the women's championship more times than I can care to admit.
Can I use this opportunity to say, Melina, not a bad worker.
She is not. This match was actually really good.
The fact that the women almost got 7 minutes was very impressive. And you know what? She's no slouch. I have my complaints about Melina, as a character and as a person. Not back then, not now, because she's really cool now. I don't want Jacob to come after me because he apparently sat there and talked to her for 15 minutes. He did. But not a bad worker. Melina is definitely somebody I would have liked to see in a modern day WWE. But I think her and Trish Stratus came here to work, and they put on a decent little match. They did.
I think it was better than decent. It was a pretty in terms of overall match scale, like across all genders, this is a pretty average match, but it's an above average match for the Divas, as they were called back then. So good counters out of the Stratus faction there. Mickey was helping Trish out when Melina was going for a certain move. Trish hits the chick kick and then a bulldog off the top rope for the retaining the title rather. Yeah, I mean it was pretty good. I thought 2.5 stars. I mean I think these two made the most of their minutes. Yeah,
I thought Melina really put in the work and showed what she could do. If this was a modern day WWE, she would be very high on the card. But
yeah,
2005, so back into the manager role you go. Back to the show where there's no women's championship. And, keep doing the very annoying work that you do as a manager.
Yeah, she was also,
she just knew how to get under your skin.
Yeah, any near fall Melina got in this match also. She screamed as loud as she could because that was, I guess, her gimmick. Do you like the scream? I mean, it got on people's nerves. It got on people's nerves, so
but I think she did it a little too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's an annoying heel, and how much more annoying can you get?
Fair.
So,
just, it was almost on the level of Vicky Guerrero's Excuse Me. I know we're like 2 or 3 years away from talking about that, but it's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, so, but the key part of this was Mickie James helping Trish to win, which is going to further the narrative going into 2006 and the women's title program that we would see going into spring of 2006 as well. So, oh God damn it. Okay. Yeah, you want to talk about this next one?
Yeah, okay. If there's something that annoys you about this next match, it's okay, because there's something that annoys me too. Can I just play pretend for a second, even though I know this is a very false statement? In a last man standing match, Ric Flair is defending the Intercontinental Championship against Triple H. Okay, I'm going to pull it. It's not for the Intercontinental Championship. And it makes me very upset that it's not for the Intercontinental Championship. Because everybody knows how much I love titles and how much I love title matches and how much I love title matches on pay-per-view. But you know what? I'm going to save my bitching about that for after. I just had to get that out of the way. It's the last installment in the Triple H and Ric Flair feud. We talked about this feud at Taboo Tuesday when they had an excellent steel cage match. And this is just a continuation of that. I say steel cages are where feuds go to die, but this one needed to continue. It's, they got to up the ante here. They got to make it more brutal. They got to make it more violent. It's a last man standing match. I can't really remember anything from the build to this, just that it's the continuation.
Not really.
I mean, Flair.
Yeah, it's just like, it's basically their Taboo Tuesday match part 2. Except with a stupider stipulation. But anyway.
But a very good match.
It was. You know what? I'm going to save my bitching about the stipulation right now because, number 1, this is my favorite match on this show. And number 2, this is actually one of my favorite last man standing matches of all time. Just because
it's a good match.
It's a fucking awesome match is what it is. These two guys went in there and, listen, take all the slow counting out of the way. Take the fact that every single referee in a last man standing match counts way too fucking slow, but none of those spots were wasted. None of them felt wasted. And you could actually sense that these guys will be put down for the count with all those moves. Like, a fucking screwdriver. A fucking screwdriver would put you down for a 10 count very easily if you don't bleed out before.
Can I just say, speaking of referees, that Mickey Henson is the referee for this match. And
Rest in peace.
He does the greatest thing ever in last man standing matches. So 3, 4, wrestler gets to their feet. I love it.
He's revealing he's a gamer. Like, is that the sign language for gaming? I don't know.
It's great. He just has to let everybody know. He's up.
What is he milking the cow?
So this match starts off in the most disrespectful way possible. Flair is making his way to the ring. Triple H immediately attacks him, and there's 2 things that bother me about this, and the commentators are very sure to point it out. Number 1, the first, I want to say, 2 minutes of this match, Triple H is beating the shit out of Flair with his robe still on.
Yes, Flair does not have a chance to take his robe off. Hunter attacks Flair during his entrance.
2 minutes in.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler and Jonathan Coachman are in this heated argument about this, saying, Jerry Lawler saying, like, come on, Triple H, can you at least let Flair take the robe off? And Coachman fires back with,
no,
it's Flair's fault for wearing the robe to the ring. And I'm like,
what?
Huh? Huh?
This is, I mean, how about the fact that this is such a personal feud that these guys both want to get their hands on one another? Like, Flair always wears the robe out to the ring. It would be weird if he didn't.
The first 2 to 3 minutes of this match arguing about Flair still having his robe on, and it is so freaking funny. I have an issue with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
From a storytelling heel standpoint of Triple H, I get it. From an angry fan standpoint, this infuriated me. So finally, Flair gets Flair still has the robe on, but Triple H reaches into Flair's robe and rips off the Intercontinental title. He looks at the title and fucking just throws it to the ground. And that made me so upset because immediately the commentators go, well, this match is not for the Intercontinental Championship, but I think the championship doesn't even matter in this match.
Flair's the champion.
Title.
Yeah, it is the Intercontinental title.
Intercontinental goddamn title.
Triple H,
second most prestigious championship in history. And you're treating it like an irrelevant piece of trash, an afterthought.
Okay.
If Flair was one half of the World Tag Team Champions, you know what? I would get it. If
Yeah.
Flair was, I don't know, the interim WWE television champion.
If he was the cruiserweight champion, like
for some reason, then yeah. But this is the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
I'm not going to list the names that have held this because if you've watched any single Intercontinental Championship match, they're sure to tell you just the sheer disrespect of the title. I get it. Not every match is about a title, but
number one
was on the wall when the championship wasn't on the line.
In character, it makes Hunter feel like he's above the Intercontinental title, which also does not help the title's prestige on television. No. It also basically is it's Vince McMahon telling the audience, nobody gives a fuck about the Intercontinental Championship. I'm going to have Shelton Benjamin win it from Ric Flair. Yeah.
Very just infuriating. You take a great moment from Flair at Unforgiven, and it's just like, and it's ironic because the Intercontinental title is what kickstarted this feud to begin with. So, I don't know.
The last match was for the Intercontinental title. It was, you
could have done one of two things, in my opinion. I'll say this, and then I'll stop bitching about this. Number one, Triple H, yes, could have won the title. He could have brought it out on Raw. He could have taken it off and said, I won this championship, so Flair couldn't have it. But you know what? I don't give a damn about this title, and thrown it in the trash can.
It would be like a Shane Douglas ECW move when he won the NWA World Heavyweight title, and he's like, he's listing off all the names that have won the NWA title, and they can all kiss my ass. And throws it on the floor. It's an ultimate heel move. That's what birthed ECW.
Or you talk about Benjamin. I know Benjamin's a heel at this point, but Triple H could have came out with the Intercontinental title and just been like, yada, yada, yada. And then, I don't know, some young up-and-coming star comes out, challenges Triple H to a match, and gets the upset win of the century over him. And, you could have did some dirty heel tactics, maybe interference by, because who does Triple H do without his Big Show? You could have did some shit like that. Just a quick distraction from his next feud and just get the title off of him that way. I know I'm asking for a lot. Mm-hmm. But, it's just things that I think about. It's things that bug me. I'm a title guy.
Yeah,
I love titles. I love title
I do too. Except he doesn't buy he doesn't buy a Snoop Dogg championship, but he says he does love belts. But
that's
anyway,
not a real title. I love titles, not the belts.
Anyway,
that's not a real title.
I lost my train of thought here. But I will say this before we continue. Isn't it ironic when Triple H is booking the show now? And how relevant he's made the Intercontinental Championship through his booking. Sami Zayn dethroning Gunther in one of the most feel-good moments of WrestleMania weekend. And that was a Triple H booking decision. And it's ironic looking back in hindsight that the same guy who's booking the Intercontinental Championship to be as prestigious as it is the guy who threw it on the ground. It's so ironic.
So now that we got past this is, again, excellent storytelling from these two. I cannot praise Triple H's storytelling, his ring psychology. Flair's selling in this match is on another level.
And Flair says, God! Shit!
And you know what? I give Flair a lot of props in this era for taking the bumps that he does. He takes a suplex on the outside of the ring. Triple H immediately brings out weapons. He bloodies up Flair really fast. It's a very
how quick?
It's 27 minutes long, so it's very slow and methodical.
How quick do you think Flair was bleeding?
Sheer minutes into this match.
Yeah.
I don't think he made it past the 5-minute mark.
No, yeah, there's no way. Probably because Hunter introduced a fucking screwdriver. Like, Jesus, what is it with 2005 Last Man Standing matches and debilitating weapons that are used in, like, construction? Edge using a brick? Remember that?
The screwdriver is what I remember most about this match.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brutal.
And Joey Styles' commentary reacting to the screwdriver. My God, that's a damn screwdriver!
You think a guy who commentated ECW wouldn't be so upset over a screwdriver?
I mean, he was always upset about those weapons in ECW. He was like, somebody stop the match! My God! Somebody stop it!
Nah, don't stop the match. Don't stop the match.
No, don't stop the match. Yeah. I mean, Harley Race knee drops to the head by Flair. Honestly, Hunter was playing a very Harley Race role in this feud in terms of the work. Because I know Harley Race was a huge influence of his, like, as a worker. Him doing the Harley Race knee drops. Flair was also introducing Harley Race knee drops. Just Hunter grabs the microphone as they're brawling outside, like it's an I Quit match, and he says, "Stay down or I'm gonna put you down for good." Like old Yeller reference, right?
Very good storytelling here. Flair does make it back. He gets his big comeback. They go to the outside, and Flair back body drops Triple H through the announce table after a angry attempt. That is great.
My favorite moment.
Triple H and announce table spots, but he always makes them look so damn good.
In terms of the drama, that was my favorite moment of this match. But while Hunter's cutting this promo on Flair in the middle of the match, Flair retaliates by grabbing Hunter in the balls. And like, you know, it's another variation. Yeah.
Let me guess. It's pay-per-view so he can say it.
Yeah, he can say it. Yeah, what a move. What a fucking move that is.
What a move.
Yeah, so back body drop leads to an oh my God call from Joey Styles. Flair gets back into the ring. Hunter got up at 9, and yeah, like I said, this is what I mean. This is how you make a stupid stipulation last. You make these spots count, you build to the drama, and you make sure that the crowd, you know, is going crazy for it. Like, you can't, like, expect a guy to be down for a 10 count after a routine spot, you know?
No.
Like, that's, like, you gotta make those spots fucking count. And I know Tomas was saying, like, his defense of the Last Man Standing match this whole time, it's called drama. It's called drama. This is how you do it right. This is how
you want to talk about drama? I love this finish so much. So, again, a lot of credit for Flair. So, Triple H hits a pedigree, and Flair makes it back to his feet. He hits him with a second pedigree. Flair makes it back to his feet. A third pedigree, and Triple H already notices Flair's not going to stay down from these pedigrees. Triple H goes to grab the sledgehammer, and I know what you're thinking. Oh, sledgehammer spy ends the match. Yes, but Triple H cracks this sledgehammer over Flair's broken back. Like, it was a very brutal spot. A spot I'm surprised Flair was taking at that age.
Yeah, it's the same bad back that Flair fucked up in that plane crash back in 1975, added to his mythos. That was 30 years before this event, too. Like, Jesus Christ. And he's taking a sledgehammer spot to that same back.
Yeah, Flair's back never fully recovered from that plane crash. So the fact that he was able to take this here is absolutely miraculous. This was excellent. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. This was match of the night. Super fun. This is probably one of the most, it's a hidden gem match. I think it's a hidden gem feud. It's a feud nobody really talks about anymore. And I know Flair, like we talked about at Taboo Tuesday, isn't looked at in the best light. But if you want to look at this is what made Ric Flair the man. This is what made Ric Flair the man. Even in 2005, this man was still proving why he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, and like it's a similar song and dance to what we saw in a certain program at the last WWE show we talked about. Flair is an old man at this point. He's 50. He's like in his mid-50s around this point. And he's still putting on banger matches like this one. And I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm giving this Last Man Standing match 4.5 stars, which is a rarity from me. But it's one of my favorites.
Cherry on the top that I love so much. After the match, Triple H puts his sledgehammer on his shoulder, lumberjack style, looks down at Flair.
Yep.
Old Yeller's dead. It's so fucking, and I love it when Triple H's hair is in front of his face. It just, oh my God, such a badass image of him looking down at Flair, pointing the gun, pulling the trigger, and then just walking off. Oh my God. Triple H was so damn good back then.
Hunter was such a good heel back then. And he would like, this next feud against the Big Show, he's going to start having some funny moments as a heel too. Hunter, were you surprised at all that Hunter didn't bleed in this? Because I feel like
a
little bit. Yeah, me too. Just because I feel like a lot of these big main event style matches, Hunter always bladed, but Flair was doing the majority of the bleeding here. This was an absolute massacre. So much fucking blood.
It was really fucking good. Okay, well, we kind of need a moment to chill out after that very dramatic 27-minute match. You want to talk about Edge?
Oh boy, yeah. There was a Team SmackDown segment in the dressing room before this Edge segment. They're basically talking about like, oh, who's gonna be the leader? JBL is like being the funny heel that said that he was the WWE champion for almost a year. Batista, even though he's injured, he's still the World Heavyweight Champion, not defending the title in this card. But he's like, I'm the champ. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna be the captain. Rey Mysterio basically acquiesces and he's like, all right, Big Dave, yeah, we're gonna do this. And then Bobby Lashley looks at Batista and says, eat him.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That should have been his catchphrase at this point.
Eat him.
And that's basically the storyline with Team SmackDown is, they're fighting over who the leader is, and their leader is technically injured. So, it is one dynamic of the teams that I really like from the Raw and SmackDown, Raw versus SmackDown era, is that you force heels and babyfaces to team up with each other, and they don't trust each other. So having to force them into that situation was cool. But again, they did it to death. And this really overstayed its welcome after a while.
It did. Yeah, it looked like they were planting the seeds for a potential Batista-Randy Orton feud down the line, but Orton's going to be busy with something else, so not to worry about that.
This Edge segment, I really liked.
It was fun.
I really liked this segment. So Edge and Lita make their way down to the ring, and Edge introduces something that is actually very relevant for the next, while throughout his career, for the next like 4, 5, 6 years. He is introducing his own talk show segment, The Cutting Edge. And he says that there's not going to be any stupid palm trees like Carlito's Cabana. He says there's not going to be any stupid screens like referring to the highlight reel, but Jericho's not in the company. He wants it just to be hard-hitting questions that everyone else is scared to ask. I feel like that's everybody's gimmick nowadays with a talk show. They just kind of piggybacked off this. Edge was the only guy to actually do it, though. The Cutting Edge was probably the best talk show segment, probably since Piper's Pit.
Yeah.
And I know
I can agree with that.
Has its moments. We talk about Cena getting drafted to Raw, the iconic Shawn Michaels through the Jeritron spot. It had its moments, but Cutting Edge just really felt like Edge really stuck to his word, and he really just used this talk show segment to absolutely get underneath the skin of baby faces, which that was the point of Piper's Pit. Piper just wanted to bring people in the ring so we could dress them down. And Edge, you can tell he was taking a lot of inspiration from Roddy Piper.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He technically gives a sneak peek to the crowd by introducing Detroit Tiger Dimitri Young. He is sitting in front row, and absolutely.
This show was in Detroit, mind you, in the no longer standing Joe Louis Arena where the Red Wings used to play.
Edge absolutely verbally abuses this man.
Oh my God, so he cooks him. So a couple of lines he said, he mocks the Detroit Tigers, of course, by saying, is it a lack of talent or is it a lack of steroids? And then
I love that. I love that.
And Edge also said that Young is not injecting steroids into his body, but instead he's injecting cheeseburgers into his body.
Love that.
Fucking hell. And then he has the guts to call this guy Mark Henry at ringside before correcting himself. And I'm like, this guy's not that big. But the fact that he's like, oh yeah, you're eating a lot of cheeseburgers. What's that all about? Saying stuff like that.
To give Dimitri Young credit, he fires back at Edge with the greatest comeback of all time. He talks about how many championships the Red Wings have held. He talks about how many championships, the Pistons have held, the Tigers have held. He looks at Edge and he says, but Edge, where's your world championship? I loved that
Well,
so much. And it is, again, once upon a time, Vince actually believed in long-term storytelling, and that was the thing going on with Edge. He was, just this. Everybody hated him, and that one thing that got under Edge's skin the most was, you've never won a world title. You've been here since what, 98, 99, and everyone on the roster has won. He was the Leonardo DiCaprio of pro wrestling, the only main eventer on that scene that had not won a world championship. And you can even throw the Simpsons meme at him, like, if you've won a world championship, you get to leave early. Everyone gets to leave except Edge.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that
Dimitri,
of Edge's character.
Dimitri, give it about a month and a half or so, and then we'll retract back to that statement. But honestly, this is a hidden gem worth of a segment here. Dimitri Young is not really talked about as much in terms of WWE celebrities anymore, but he more than held his own on the microphone against Edge, who I think is one of my favorites of all time. And that assessment of saying that The Cutting Edge is the greatest wrestling talk show not named Piper's Pit, I think that's a fair assessment, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, it doesn't hold a candle to Miz TV, but it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. So, with that in mind...
the Ambrose Asylum?
With Mitch the Potted Plant.
The most over character in that feud.
R.I.P. Mitch, 2016 to 2016. So...
Moxley should bring him back.
Yeah, so up next... you ready to get into some overbooked Russo-ness on this Survivor Series? We have, for the WWE Championship, John Cena defending against Kurt Angle in a rematch from Unforgiven, which ended in a disqualification. Kurt Angle was not pinned in the Taboo Tuesday match either, the triple threat with Shawn Michaels, so here he is getting one more chance at John Cena for the belt, but the gimmick is that Kurt Angle has his own personal referee to ensure that he walks out of Detroit with the title, that being Muhammad Hassan's former sympathizer, Khosrow Daivari.
And how did we get here? How does Angle has a couple of perks in this match? How did he, see what I did there? How did we get to Angle getting his own personal referee and getting some preferential treatment?
Bischoff gave it to him.
Per se.
Bischoff gave it to him.
On an episode of Monday Night Raw, Kurt Angle was going to be in a tag team match. I think he was teaming with Carlito or Chris Masters to face Shawn Michaels and John Cena.
Oh, here we go.
And Angle makes his way to the ring, and it just seems like the "you suck" chants are really bothering him tonight. So he gets on the mic and he says, "I'm going to try that again." Goes back, comes back out. They still chant "you suck." He says, "I'm going to come out again, and you better not chant "you suck." If you do, I'm not wrestling." So he leaves. He comes back. Of course, the crowd says, "You suck." And then he just leaves. He's about to get in his car and leave, and Bischoff says, whoa, hold on. I think I have something that's going to make you happy.
Not before cutting a scathing promo on the fans in attendance. He was like, I never saw my little daughter's first steps. My wife left me because I was wrestling for you people. And like, he's getting so deep into this, and he said, this arena is full of selfish, entitled bastards. And yes, he leaves.
2000 Kurt Angle promo. It's very good.
Search it up on YouTube. Search it up on YouTube, viewers. It's a great fucking segment with Kurt.
Bischoff, he talks Angle into coming back in under one condition. So they reset this is the main event. They reset the match. Angle comes out, and this only makes sense if you're watching it on TV. But, Angle comes out, and the "you suck" chants are now censored. Angle says he will no longer take the disrespect from the crowd. Kurt Angle had a lot of hidden gem ideas in this era that were never fully utilized. And that's kind of the whole basis around this. He says, I want the crowd censored. And for my championship match at Survivor Series, I get a personal referee, not just a special guest referee. This man is going to referee every single one of Angle's matches going forward. There's a montage of Daivari helping Kurt Angle win matches. And it's kind of like Cena's up shit creek without a paddle, because he knows Daivari's going to screw him out of the title. I really like this premise, because as a kid, I couldn't stop help thinking, how is John Cena going to win this match? There is no way for Cena to win this match. He's going to get screwed out of the title. So, and then Cena does cut a really good promo on the leading home going to Raw, saying, you can't censor the people. That's freedom of speech. You talk about, Kurt Angle's whole gimmick is about being American, but you're taking that right away from the people. It's a good evolution in the feud of Angle and Cena that I don't think people appreciate enough.
Oh, no way. Cena was standing up as the true American hero against the alleged American hero with Daivari in his corner. So, They get into the ring, and there's immediately huge dueling chants of "Let's go Cena, let's go Angle." If I didn't notice it during the SummerSlam match as a kid, I absolutely noticed it here, because this crowd in Detroit loves them some Kurt Angle, and a good chunk of them wanted to see Angle win this one, despite him being the heel.
Very good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The energy in this match was very good.
The urgency
in this match.
The urgency was great. Yeah.
I think the energy in this match really lent to it, because this is a good match. I know you have your issues with the match, but I had a lot of fun watching this match. I thought the action was very fast paced. It just, one thing about this feud that really bothers me, I feel like Kurt Angle was at his peak at this moment. How do you not put the title on him? I understand why, but how do you not put the title on him at this point? If this was any other guy with the championship, this should have been Kurt Angle's night to win the WWE title.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If he was challenging Batista, for example, Batista was hurt. So that would have been a perfect time to put a championship on Kurt. So, that unintentionally rhymed, by the way. To your point, Kurt Angle's personal referee wants to ensure that Kurt wins this championship. For example, Cena hits a fisherman suplex very early on. He goes for a cover, and Daivari does not even count. And then Kurt locks on the ankle lock with the distraction, and Daivari has his hand at the ready, like he's gonna screw John Cena, like he's gonna ring the bell, like regardless. He fights it off after about a minute in the ankle lock. Daivari kicks the hand of Cena as he gets in the ropes, and it's just ridiculous heel shenanigans here.
So are you ready for a whole fucking slew of ref bumps?
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like this ring was littered with referee bodies.
Oh yeah, it was littered with referee bodies, and actually some pretty smart non-Russo booking here. So after Cena escapes this ankle lock, he walks up to Daivari just point blank, slaps him in the face, and then he slaps him a second time, and he's like, "I'm the referee. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, what, you want to disqualify me? Because that means that your man does not get the title." And then Daivari's ready to disqualify him, and then Kurt gets up to him, and he's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. No disqualification here. So
please correct me if I'm wrong, because I may have not been paying attention, but I vividly remember Cena just randomly hitting a DDT on Daivari.
Let's see. He might have just hit a DDT on Kurt.
Okay. Because I was saying, like, if you're going to take out the referee, just hit him with the attitude adjustment, not a DDT.
He just shoved Angle into Daivari, and that's how Daivari was written out for a little bit. So Chad Patton runs down to the ring, hits a 2 count on Kurt, just suplexes by Kurt, and Kurt starts grounding him. Cena hits the 5-knuckle shuffle. There's a near fall there. Angle then gets back to his feet. He clotheslines the shit out of Chad Patton.
Fucking clobbers the fuck out of the ref, and I'm like, holy shit. What kind of fucking SmackDown versus Raw bullshit is this?
That's about a $50,000 fine for him right there, hitting an official.
Damn, there are like 2, Daivari, and now Chad Patton's down, and it's just like all these referees coming in just to take these bumps.
Oh yeah. So clotheslines Chad Patton. Then he kicks Cena. He takes Cena to Dick Kick City, hits him with the angle slam. Mickey Henson then runs down to the ring after he officiated the Last Man Standing match. He goes in. He counts 2 off of the angle slam, which was awesome. Great false finishes here. The crowd is just eating all of this up. There's a 2 count off of a superplex by Kurt. It's just really, it's good wrestling, man. It's really good.
Exciting. Very exciting.
So Angle is up in the attitude adjustment. Then he grabs the shirt of Mickey Henson while he's in that position, the fireman's carry, hits Cena with a clothesline, and then he decks the referee again. He knocks him out. Just point blank.
This is your 3rd referee bump. There are 3 referee bodies just littered around the ring. I think it was until after this, Cena finally hits an attitude adjustment, and then Nick Patrick, the SmackDown referee.
Charles Robinson.
Charles Robinson? Okay, yeah. I knew it was a SmackDown referee, but a SmackDown referee, because they ran out of Raw referees. They all got taken out.
They ran out of refs.
SmackDown referee Charles Robinson makes the 3 count. Cena pins, wins, and retains the WWE Championship.
With one AA, by the way. So
this was very fun. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I don't think this match had any right being this good.
You know what?
Considering how overbooked it was.
You know what? I'm matching at 3.5 stars. I can't really go above that. I did thoroughly enjoy this thing. There's no doubt that Cena and Angle have wrestled better matches against each other. This was more about the chaos and the pandemonium that was going on. And the coach is just he's in such denial on commentary after this 3 count. And he's like, that was a SmackDown official. And then Joey Styles is like, well, he ran out of Raw referees, so you got to have a sanctioned official. Like, he's so fucking annoyed with Coach.
From looking at this, yeah, there's only 3 Raw refs and 3 SmackDown refs.
And Daivari. They were really stacking the deck against John Cena here. It was like, I don't want to say it was a
4 Raw refs, 4 SmackDown refs.
It was a huge like callback to the Stone Cold Vince feud where they were stacking the odds against the babyface. Eric Bischoff was doing all he could to get the title off of this guy. But no matter what he tried, no matter what he did, the babyface always found a way to escape. And hey, it's a tried and true formula, and the crowd was into it. And the only difference is Cena wasn't like universally beloved by the crowd like Stone Cold was. Because there was a good chunk of this audience that wanted Kurt.
Very important to point out, especially going into this next match. We have had Eric Bischoff as the Raw general manager for going on 4 years now.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Do we want to get into this next match here and then sing a swan song for Eric Bischoff?
Maybe for New Year's Revolution, because that's the last time he has an impact on the product. And then, then after that, he's gone. Because remember, he does make the main event for New Year's Revolution.
Yes, you're right.
It's not a great segue, though, into this next match, because remember at at Invasion, when we had Nick Patrick versus Hebner? Well, did you like that match?
No.
Then you're not going to like this match. It's general manager versus general manager, Teddy Long versus Eric Bischoff. How did we get here?
I don't care.
You know what? It coincides with the main event, so let's talk about it. So after, the Taboo Tuesday nonsense, the Raw Homecoming nonsense with the SmackDown Invasion, Teddy Long and Eric Bischoff want to put this feud to rest, and they put their 5 best Raw guys versus SmackDown's best 5 guys. And that's basically the whole premise of the main event. But Long and Bischoff just hate each other so much that they got to fight too. And what we get is 5 minutes of just
unnecessary. This was horrible. This was absolutely horrible. Eric Bischoff was choking Teddy Long at one point with his karate belt because he comes out with like the gi on.
I think it's very funny. 2 things that are funny about this match is Teddy Long's attire, because he's just wearing track pants and a SmackDown shirt. And I do like when Teddy Long imitates the Karate Kid pose in front of Bischoff. That was funny.
That was funny. Teddy Long tried his best to be as entertaining as he could. The crowd was chanting boring very early on.
Teddy Long looks like he's 75 pounds soaking wet. So
yeah.
Teddy Long is not a believable fighter.
It probably would have been a more believable match if it was Bischoff against Palmer Cannon. Remember him? Palmer Cannon was Teddy Long's UPN analyst in character. Palmer Cannon is a gigantic dude. He's very tall.
He is.
So he would Eric Bischoff kicks Palmer Cannon off the apron at one point easily. What is going on here?
Gimmick real quick, when SmackDown went to UPN, they wanted to create like this TV producer gimmick that would be in Teddy Long's ear. He is the reason why I think Eddie Guerrero got the World Heavyweight title shot. He introduced the Super Juniors division, which was like this midget division, which honestly could have gotten over really good, but Vince McMahon likes to make fun of little people, so we just put them all in stupid gimmicks, even though the wrestling was actually really good. And believe it or not, the demand for little person wrestling is kind of big. So WWE kind of missed their opportunity on that market. That's all I'm going to say about the Super Juniors division. It was a missed opportunity, in my opinion.
It was terrible. But
it could have been great if it was utilized right.
One thing that was utilized right, a Palmer Cannon project here. This crowd is just totally not into this thing. Bischoff slaps in a sleeper hold. Teddy Long uses his shoe to get out of it. Eric Bischoff then hits him with a chop. When all of a sudden, I'm the boogeyman, and I'm coming to get you. And then this creepy music that hits. The arena goes completely red, even though there's no Red Wings that are playing on the hockey rink right now. And out pops the Boogeyman. He sneaks up behind Eric Bischoff like he's gonna freaking just assault him in the worst possible way. He hits him with a really bad-looking pump handle slam. No worms yet. No worms yet.
Let's
that
talk
comes
about
later.
The Boogeyman real quick. Who the fuck is this guy? He's basically, and I'll go into who he actually is in a second, so hold your laughter.
Yeah, here we go.
Like you said, Palmer Cannon just brought this crazy man with crazy face paint. He's got a staff. He's got an alarm clock that he bashes over his head, and he called him the Boogeyman.
An alarm clock that was always catered to the same time. So Boogeyman's matches were always at the exact same spot on the clock, theoretically.
So I know you want to talk about this. Who was the Boogeyman?
He was former Tough Enough contestant Marty Wright, who was disqualified from competition because he was too old. And he faked being 30 years old when he was actually 40. That's right, I'm 40. I'm not 30. He's not 30. He's not 30 at all. But they gave him a contract. Even though he's like jacked out the gills, they just put him in like this crazy ass makeup, which I'll give him credit. He still wears that makeup to this very day. Take it from us. We were at WrestleCon in Los Angeles, and we actually did walk past the Boogeyman's booth. He was in full fucking gimmick. So, mad props to him. So,
I don't want to give away. Here's my basic things about the Boogeyman right now. I thought Marty Wright took a gimmick that easily could have failed, and he made the best. He made the fucking most of it. He really did. I thought he was super entertaining under this gimmick. Was it weird? Yeah. Did it have Vince McMahon written all over it? Absolutely. But I do think it's less about the gimmick and it's about the man under the gimmick. And I thought Boogeyman, he was given shit to work with, and he made it very entertaining.
He's like Simon Dean, given shit to work with, and he ran with it. And when you can scare a little 9-year-old kid like me, because I was actually kind of scared of this guy looking at him. Like he had that intimidation factor for sure. And especially when he started eating the worms, oh my God, don't even get me started. That was I thought that was disgusting. But
let's save that for Armageddon for sure.
Yeah. Let's save it. Is he on Armageddon?
Yep. He wrestles The Miz. And the Miz,
I thought that was 2006. I thought that was 2006.
No.
Are you sure? All right, we'll fact check this. We'll fact check it. We'll fact check it later. Yeah, because
Teddy. Okay, yeah, you're right. Never mind. Teddy Long.
I knew it.
Teddy Long gets dragged on top of Bischoff. He gets the win. I'm gonna give this match 6 stars. It was better than Ospreay Danielson. It was better than Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles. It was better than Cody and Reigns at WrestleMania. I thought it was better than Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. I thought it was better than Triple H versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam.
I really hope you're not serious.
I thought it was better than Kenny Omega, Pac, and Orange Cassidy from Double or Nothing.
Oh my God. This is like the best match you've ever seen.
Better than Taker and Michaels at WrestleMania 25.
Well, seeing as how I'm the only sane one left in the room, I'm giving this -2 stars. This was an awful match. These two had no business being in a match together. I understand why they did it, because SmackDown and Raw are now tied at 1-1. So we get to the main event, and then all the marbles are up for grabs. So yeah, this was just a stupid angle to, humiliate Bischoff on his way out of the company. So
can you let's rewind a bit. You just said SmackDown and Raw are now at 1 win apiece, right?
Yep.
Who cares? Because
Vince McMahon, apparently.
With this whole Raw versus SmackDown gimmick. Remember last year at New Year's Revolution Survivor Series. Last year's Survivor Series, where the winning team got to control Raw for a month.
Yep.
So they had motivation to go out there and kill each other. Do the winning team, are they all promised title shots? Are they promised bonuses? Are they promised, I don't know,
the number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble?
No, or what was the immunity from getting fired for a year? Are they promised?
No, nothing like that.
Luxury hotels, luxury jets for 6 months? No, they're killing themselves for no reason. Just to say, The red show is better than the blue show.
For bragging rights, which is ironic because they put together a whole other pay-per-view in 2009 centered around bragging rights. So this is the only other spot on the calendar they could do this, and it was a tie-in to SmackDown versus Raw 2006.
Maybe that would have helped a little more if they had some motivation behind these matches.
Yeah,
a little bit. No, how about a free coupon for a Grand Slam at Denny's? Anything, please. Yeah.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine a Grand Slam coupon on a pole match? I mean, take it. Yeah, no, I take it too. I would absolutely take it. Yeah. So with that said, it is time for the main event of Survivor Series 2005. Said Team Raw versus Team SmackDown traditional Survivor Series elimination match with nothing on the line. Team SmackDown consists of the World Heavyweight Champion Batista, who is heavily taped, okay? Like his pectoral muscle down to his ribs, hugely taped. You have
Why? Because Big Show and Kane have chokeslammed this motherfucker in the ring, through the announce table, on the hood of a car. Like, Batista is getting his ass handed to him in this build.
Yes, I will give them credit. It was a very fun build for what they got. And we got stuff like Big Show and Kane, the World Tag Team Champions, choke-slamming Batista over and over again. So, Batista, JBL, along with Jillian Hall and her gigantic cookie on her face. Rey Mysterio, yep. Bobby Lashley and his 20 double cheeseburgers. And Randy Orton, Randy Orton accompanied by his deadbeat dad, Cowboy Bob Orton. They are going up against Team Raw, led by Shawn Michaels, Carlito, who is not fucking...
You got that wrong. The deadbeat dad is Ray.
Well, yeah, but we don't know that yet. Shawn Michaels leads Team Raw, who also consists of Carlito, who is not fucking mid, Chris Masters. This commentary team talked all over each other in this match. If you watch this match on mute, it's probably fine, but good lord, these guys get into it with each other. Yeah, Michael Cole and Taz are constantly talking over Chris Masters' entrance when the Raw team is demanding that they be quiet because he's the masterpiece. And Taz is like, there's nothing masterpiece about him. And then, of course, you also have the Big Show and Kane, the World Tag Team Champions, surround out the Raw crew. So, with that said, I feel like this SmackDown team had a lot more talent with them.
They did.
Granted, they were also supposed to have Eddie Guerrero on their team, but again, neither here nor there. I wish Eddie was still with us.
Two huge monsters. That's a smart move. You got Shawn Michaels, the veteran, and then you have Mid Lito and...
Fuck you, he's not mid!
Chris, I'm greener than a football field in the summertime Masters. I don't know. I was literally talking out of my ass with
they couldn't use Cena or Kurt Angle. And Christian wasn't available by this point because he had already debuted at TNA Genesis. They couldn't use Chris Jericho because he was fired. So, of course, this team looks weaker. So, with that said, this was actually a pretty darn good elimination match. I thought it was very entertaining from start to finish. Masters and Lashley have a face-off very early on. Masters tries to lock Bobby Lashley in his own submission hold, the full Lashley.
10 years, that would be a good match. Not right now, though.
No. You didn't even hear what I said. You just ignored me. But anyway, he locks Lashley in his own submission hold. So Lashley fights out of it. Yeah.
The Masters finisher.
It's the full Lashley.
Using the Dominator.
Yeah, so...
which is a terrible name for a finisher.
I was waiting for that. Thank you. Carlito is tagged in by Masters, and Carlito wants nothing to do with Bobby Lashley. Lashley's throwing him around like a rag doll. And then Shawn Michaels gets in there. He does the top rope bump for Lashley. Michaels is so damn good, man. He's bumping his ass off to make Lashley look as monstrous as he possibly can. Lashley drops Carlito with a sick-looking Dominator. Chokeslam on Lashley by Kane, which leads to Shawn Michaels pinning Bobby Lashley, which is the first time Lashley was pinned on the roster, but yet they still say he's undefeated.
I also love this spot because not only does Kane chokeslam Lashley, he does it while he's still standing on the ring apron. So that's
that was cool.
Impressive. That was cool. We were in the era of Kane probably having the best chokeslam in the business.
Yeah.
Like, he did one-handed slam dunk chokeslam that was like, there's a pretty sick photo I used to have on my binder at school, and it was Kane delivering that one-handed chokeslam to Benoit. And my friends would always comment, it's like, that's the best fucking looking chokeslam I've ever seen. And I would look at it and be like, you know what, you're right. It's better than Big Show's. It's better than Taker's. Kane has the best chokeslam in the biz. There.
He does. He sure does. It's better than Damian Priest's.
That was the south side of heaven.
It's still a choke slam. Michael Cole calls it a fucking choke slam.
It's a sit-out choke slam. It's the south side of heaven.
It's pretty fucking impressive, though.
Called Priest Edge.
Yeah. So anyway,
the other finisher is called Hit the Lights.
Can we actually talk about this little topic here? This actually reveals to me why I don't necessarily like Survivor Series elimination matches as much in hindsight, because you have someone like Bobby Lashley here, and they're pushing this guy to the moon. They're strapping a fucking jetpack to this guy, and you put him in this big, gigantic, multi-person quabble, and then what happens? It takes one move for him to get pinned. And Survivor Series matches all the fucking time, you would have people get eliminated by a fucking atomic drop or a body slam. You know, I'm so happy Triple H is doing away with this concept and putting war games on Survivor Series.
It was a very shitty way to, like, there's a lot of eliminations in this match. We got to get people out, like, left and right. But I want to piggyback up that by doing another dynamic that sucks. You talk about Lashley getting pushed. Lashley's undefeated, and he's the first one out, so he has been pinned. They would book themselves into corners like this all the time, like in 2007, undefeated Umaga. No, 2006, undefeated Umaga on Team Big Show, and he has to get counted out so he can protect his, not getting pinned.
Yep.
2019, Gunther, NXT UK World Champion, on this fucking tear. What happens? 2 minutes, not even a minute into the match, spear by Roman Reigns, he's out.
Yep. It's a problem. It is a huge problem with these.
Yeah. To quote Sala Monster, when he talked about it, he said, that wasn't Gunther, that was Walter. There's a difference.
Yeah. It was. It is a huge difference. Gunther is a lot more ripped. So, with that in mind, Rey Mysterio starts taking heat from the monsters on the Raw side. Kane is beating the shit out of Rey Mysterio at this point. Then you get the hot tag to Batista, and he's freaking on fire. He's taking Kane down left and right. Mysterio then hits Kane. Here's the problem coming up again. 1619 on Kane, and then Batista pins Kane off of a spine buster. Like, that was all it took to eliminate Kane. And then, even better, Batista and Kane hit I fucked that up because I'm so flustered. Big Show and Kane, thank you. They double choke slam Batista, and the World Heavyweight Champion is eliminated already.
Okay, let's rewind a little. With Kane, I understand it because Batista's got to sell the injury. And Batista bombing Kane is a huge task, especially when you're injured. And also, I was actually going to defend Batista getting pinned because when the team captain gets pinned, earlier in the match, it kind of like saves that mystique of, obviously the team captain's going to make it to the end. No, this one didn't. And it kind of like added to the drama of, oh shit, we're without our leader now. What are we going to do?
I also may have jumped the gun a little bit on criticizing that decision, mainly because Batista was also legitimately injured. So, you got to take him out of that match early and try and protect him, So, takes 12
minutes.
Yeah, it takes one double choke slam from Big Show and Kane, and then Big Show pins the world champion. So, that should put Big Show in line for a world heavyweight title shot, shouldn't it?
Nope, he's not on SmackDown.
Ah, well, fuck you. Yeah, he should have been in the chamber match then, right? Should have been in the Elimination Chamber match. No, he's not in the Chamber match, though.
He's too busy farting around with Triple H.
He's too busy farting around with Triple H, exactly. So Big Show is on a tear right now. It's down to JBL, Orton, and Mysterio on the SmackDown side. And then it takes one clothesline from Hell, one RKO, 1619, another clothesline from Hell, and Mysterio pinning Big Show off of a seated senton. So that elimination I actually liked. I really liked that one.
I love when there's a big guy in the ring and it takes multiple finishers to take him out. It's an Elimination Chamber spot too that I love. You know,
Yeah.
you think about like Bronson Reed at Elimination Chamber 2023. Yeah, and you know, what
Mm-hmm.
did it take? It took a one final beat from Johnny Gargano and a curb stomp from Seth Rollins, and then there was another move that I forget that happened there. But I love that. I love
Montez with his frog splash.
Montez Ford was in the Intercontinental Championship match.
In that fucking with Austin Theory? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Damn, I forgot that.
Yeah, it was Montez.
Anywho, I love when they have to chain finishers to take somebody out. It's such a cool visual.
Yeah, so Mysterio is in the ring. He's taking more heat from the youngsters, Carlito and Chris Masters. And then what happens is JBL makes a blind tag off of Ray, nails Carlito with a vicious clothesline from hell to pin him. And to Tomas's pleasure, Carlito is out of there, and I already miss him dearly. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I think Carlito is much better than Chris Masters. That's just me, but
still mid.
Yeah. Mysterio then drops the dime and a 619 on Chris Masters to eliminate him. So we've seen this before on a Survivor Series retro. It is 3 guys against the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And Shawn has to fight his way from underneath. And Shawn has been waylaid on the outside. I don't remember how he got to that point, but Shawn was like belly up out there. And like he was just in no man's land. And JBL is like, well, this is going to be an easy one.
Well, you know what? This was nowhere near as good as 2003, but this was still such a cool sequence. First of all, we only got to see Shawn Michaels and Rey Mysterio once wrestle.
Yep.
And it was at the tribute show. But
that was a great match. That was a great match.
We got the springboard into the super kick.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Mysterio was pinned off of that. And then one right after the other, after that spectacular spot with Ray, Shawn then hits one more super kick to eliminate Bradshaw. So, just like 2003, it is down to Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton. And
isn't this a dream match in 2005? Michaels and Orton?
I mean, I've seen those guys wrestle. I wasn't really that excited to see it as a kid. I was like, I've seen this before, and it was fine, but I'm not chomping at the bit.
Orton's getting better.
He is. Shawn, and I mean, the drama in this match was actually pretty good towards the end. JBL stumbling around the ring. He hasn't left. He's got a steel chair. He tries to clobber Shawn with it, but then Shawn hits another sweet chin music. Shawn tries to hit another one on Orton. It's a beautiful counter, spinning out of it, hits him with an RKO. And Randy Orton, for the 3rd year in a row, is the sole survivor for his Survivor Series team. This is a fun elimination match, all things considered.
No wonder Shawn Michaels has a broken back, because he's been carrying this match.
Is it bad if I say
it wasn't all Michaels, but I mean, the drama and the excitement at the end, that was all Shawn Michaels.
It was. But is it bad if I say I gave this 3 3/4 stars? I thought this was very fun. Yeah,
this was
likewise.
a very fun match.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like less people remember the match, and they remember the aftermath even more, because I love this. You know what? Yes, SmackDown won. They're technically the babyface team because they have Teddy Long. But Randy Orton's the heel, so, you know, you don't really want to cheer for him, but he won the match for the show. You know, the League of Jobbers come out to lift Orton up on his shoulders because, you know what? Orton's teammates really don't like him. So they're celebrating, and we have a moment in history, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, this was awesome.
Orton is on the shoulders of the League of Jobbers. The gong hits, the lights go out, and the look on Randy Orton's face was so good that it is a meme now.
It is.
Randy Orton face.
Mm-hmm. So the Druids start singing in the background that ominous tune. They're bringing the casket out. They stand it up at the entranceway, and then a bolt of lightning strikes the casket, and it's set on fire, just like it was at No Mercy. And out comes The Undertaker. And
before we get into this, I have to point out, I loved that during that entire time, Orton is telling everyone, put me down. I don't want to be here anymore. And they're just holding him the entire time. It's like,
yep.
Put me the fuck down. I don't want to do this anymore.
What if that was the new Ministry of Darkness that was just holding Randy Orton, getting ready to be sacrificed? The League of Jobbers. Well, I mean, Undertaker also had Dennis Knight and Viscera as part of the Ministry of Darkness, and they were big guys. Yeah, but yeah, could you imagine Paul London and Brian Kendrick as Undertaker's followers?
I mean, the acolytes were.
They were. You're right. Yeah, but with that said, Undertaker pops out of the casket, and Orton is trying to escape like nobody else. And for some reason, well, he doesn't try to escape right away. He's just standing there as Taker makes his entrance, makes a beeline towards the ring, and then Randy is hiding behind everybody. He slithers out of the ring like the snake he is, and then Taker starts beating up all the jobbers.
As he should.
Yeah.
As he should.
Yeah, so... So he goes in there with his punches, his kicks. Several members of the SmackDown roster go down to chokeslams. I believe Brian Kendrick takes a chokeslam. William Regal is
big chokeslam.
William
he sold it like crazy.
How about this for a match that we never got? Undertaker versus William Regal. Like, we sort of got this. We sort of got it here. Regal goes in there. He's trying to fight the dead man. Regal takes a tombstone for his troubles. Taker has pretty much wiped out the entire SmackDown locker room, except for Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy was very smart. He was out there during the celebration, and he decided during Taker's onslaught, he was just going to escape right away. So
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. Not necessarily for his outlook at Armageddon. So
it's
we'll
get to return for the Undertaker. I feel like the Undertaker has had like 7 million returns, but this one sticks out in particular. And again, Randy Orton's face just sells the entire thing. It was anyone who's like not really a wrestling fan, if you see that photo of Randy Orton with the surprise like concerned face, that's where this is from. This is so fucking good. And I think my favorite meme I've ever seen was when I'm 8 years old and I see Darth Maul pull out the double-sided lightsaber for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. But Taker and Orton stare each other down as the show fades to black. Orton is petrified. Taker is standing tall in the ring. Stay tuned for our Armageddon podcast when they main event that card inside a very underrated Hell in a Cell match, in my opinion. So stay tuned for those thoughts. But Survivor Series 05, I thought was a very interesting show. It was a very entertaining show. I mean, given the fact that these guys were just coming off 2 weeks after the death of Eddie Guerrero and they're still reeling from that, they still managed to come out and put on an entertaining show. But I'm going to give this 7.25 out of 10, maybe 7.5 out of 10. I was entertained by it.
I'm going to give it a 7.5. I thought, you had a very underrated women's match. You had a very good last man standing match, a very entertaining WWE Championship match, and the main event was a lot of fun. So I think that very much earns the badge of a good show. Good pay-per-view.
I thought it was a very good show, for sure. I think it's honestly towards middle of the pack when it comes to these 2005 shows. I can name at least 5 of them that I liked more than this one.
It wasn't the greatest pay-per-view ever, but it definitely wasn't the worst.
No, far from the worst. This is a very entertaining Survivor Series, I think. But yeah, with that, guys, we only got one more in the 2005 retro, of course, ending off with Armageddon. I don't think this one is as bad as Armageddon 04, so I think we can at least take solace in that one, my friend.
Because you were bad.
Yeah, well, you were about to jump off a bridge when we reviewed an Armageddon last time, so I don't know about this one.
I hate this show.
Really?
I hate this show.
All right.
The main event and maybe one other match on the card. I hate this show, and I really hate that I have to watch it again. And I can tell you why. This is one of the very few shows I owned on DVD. So
no!
Many times I have.
I get you.
You know what? I'm going to bury the lead as well. Royal Rumble 2006. Not looking forward to watching that one either.
Nope. I'm not looking forward to it either. Oh my God. Yeah, that show sucked, didn't it? That show sucked. I don't think we're going to...
And I had to watch it so many times.
Yeah, our next stretch of retro pay-per-views going into 2006 doesn't look very good, does it?
No, because let me tell you, all you spoiled-ass kids right now, if you have Peacock, you better be happy that you can watch any WWE pay-per-view that you want. Because when you were, growing up in the mid 2000s and the network doesn't exist and the internet's not really a thing and you have to rely on the very few WWE DVDs that you have, you go fucking insane because you want to watch more wrestling, but you can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a preview for next time here on the Retro. But
Yeah.
guys, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up as well if you want to discuss more wrestling with us. The King of the Ring tournament is off to the races on Monday Night Raw. We got that pay-per-view coming up. Double or Nothing is at the end of the month as well. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss over here as always. I'm talking about all things in the cinematic world as well. Yeah, I think that just about does it. Tomas, any parting words for this Survivor Series?
No, it was a good show. You listed off everything. More WWE and more AEW on the way. We got Armageddon coming up, and yeah, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan right now. So don't take it for granted.
All right, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you guys next time.